Oh, Yvonne joined us on Blab too now. And she can hear the echo also now.
Okay, we're recording there, Sabrina, if you want to do the introduction.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Online Presence Perspectives with Reverend Stephen B. Henry, PhD, your host here and at wizardsplace.com. And I am your co-host, Sabrina Watson, founder of networklifevirtually.com. Today, we're going to talk about actionable ideas you can use to create content for WordPress. And I think first, Steve, you wanted to start out with something that we just kind of discovered a minute or two ago, right?
Yes, kind of exciting. First thing, something I shared that I was bringing with me today anyway, is that the message column over on the right actually works live in the replays, so that if you have a replay of a blab and you post it somewhere, or people find it in the blab replay itself, they can actually participate in the chat during the replay. Now, it's not the chat that was recorded. It's not the that you're actually committing to the chat that was recorded, but you are extending the chat, and you can interact with other people that are watching the replay at the same time. So if your replay is popular, or if you want to schedule a replay and invite other people, you can engage them in live chat in the message section during that replay. Now, that's kind of exciting. The second thing that Sabrina just discovered now, which I didn't realize at all, is that she went to the website onlinepresenceperspectives.com, which is my website where I post the blabs and other scheduled live streaming sessions, including the Network Live Virtually session. And she discovered, well, tell them, Sabrina, tell them what you discovered. I caught you by surprise there.
Yes.
Tell them what you discovered on the website.
I was looking at people up top and reading their stuff to find out who was in the rooms. I was actually able to call in or log in and come in from the website. I did have the chat available on the right-hand side. And what else was there? You
didn't have the people at the top.
Oh yeah, I didn't have the part across the top where it says 12 and 5 right now, and then it shows everybody's little avatar, and then the drop-down portion that tells about you. That information was not there. I could see the chat and type in the chat, though.
Did you have the left-hand column?
No.
No. Okay. So
no left-hand column, no recording, no tell a little bird, no any of that. So
yeah,
that is
so
not there.
It's limited, but it's actually interactive from the embed in the website. That's relatively new. I'm not sure when they rolled it out. Maybe somebody else here can tell us. But that's just really cool because it extends the power of those embeds just tremendously. It means that it's not just a place to watch, it's a place where you can actually participate. Excellent.
Well, and if you don't want to sign up for Blab, you can actually just go there without signing up for Blab.
Yeah.
And participate in just our Blab if that's what you want to do, or just somebody else's Blab.
Well, that's interesting because I've had two people, one that's had a great deal of trouble getting into Blab. He's actually not been able to attend, and we've tried some different things. I know Yvonne has had some trouble as well, and I suggested a solution. And by the way, I'm using Chrome today. I actually uninstalled Chrome, cleared it completely off of my computer, and reinstalled it. You remember I was having trouble with Chrome. Chrome allowed me to connect where Firefox didn't. And I had some limitations. I couldn't, for example, I couldn't see the send a message entry at the bottom of the message column. I was cut off for the bottom, half inch or so of my screen. And I discovered what that was. I actually had a toolbar, an extra toolbar installed that wasn't part of Chrome. It was a third-party toolbar, and I could not get it to remove. I tried several different solutions that I had Googled and installed different software, and then had trouble getting rid of the other software. It was just a nightmare. So anyway, I completely eradicated Chrome from my website, and reinstalled it. And today I'm using it. There's no alien toolbar, and I've got the whole screen and everything's good. So
You got everything now?
Yep. So Chrome is the solution. That there's no question. I love Firefox. That's my browser of choice. I use it for everything else, but it has issues with Blab, and that's a known thing. So the people at Blab tell us that they are programming first for Chrome, and I believe another browser, perhaps Safari on the Mac, because they are also programming for the Mac and the iPhone, the iProducts first, rather than the whole spectrum of browsers and systems. So if you have an Android, for example, there is no app for the Android right now, but there is a workaround. You can install the Chrome app on your Android and then access Blab through Chrome. So there is a way to get to Blab on an Android. It's not the most inviting process, but it's possible. But on a PC, you are best served to use Chrome right now. Once they get all of the stuff together the way they want it, and have everything placed and working, and probably towards the end of the beta cycle, they're going to apparently attack all the other issues and go after the other browsers. But as disappointing as it is for me, I'm keeping both browsers on my computer, Firefox for everything else, and Chrome for Blab. And it's, from what I can see, I did some testing this morning, and what I can see now, it's working perfectly. And getting in is no problem. That's where the problem is with Firefox, is everything works, except you can't get into the seats. So that was a problem for me, especially if you're hosting. Anyway, I want to get into the actual material that we're talking about today. And our topic is actionable ideas you can use to create content. And, you'll hear me, I've already done a couple of blabs on content, different aspects of it, and you're going to hear me talk about content a lot. You can never have enough content. So I don't think you can talk about it too much either. There's just so many ways to create content. There's so many, things that we can do with content. And I'm going to share a few ideas that I've got, and I see John Chang is with us today. John, welcome. And maybe in a moment we'll get you to jump into a seat, because I know John has done some awesome things with content, and I wasn't expecting that he would be here today, and I'm so glad to see him. This was not set up. It's just one of those wonderful things that comes together, which shows the amazing power of Blab as we reach out and network and engage other people. Anyway, content, we've heard the phrase content is king. And there is absolutely no question that if you utilize content well, you will, that's the way to bring traffic, especially converting traffic, quality traffic, to your blog or website or whatever other service you're using. And I often have what I refer to as the 4 whys of success, and they are, in fact, the 4 whys of content that strongly apply to everything you're doing. And I've just posted them in the message section. There's a link there to a blog post that I did on them for anybody who's interested. It explores them a little further. But those are the 4 whys of success. And the 4 whys of content. And the reality is that if you want to beat somebody, in search engine results and get to the top of the listing, you need to apply those 4 whys. It's just a given. You need to have better quality than everybody else. You need to have more quantity than everybody else. You need to post more often. Your frequency has to increase. And you need to be out there doing it longer than anybody else. It's as simple as that. Quality, quantity, frequency, and longevity, the 4 whys. So share that with you, and we'll build from that. The problem we have is getting ideas for new content. Man, you can dry up pretty quick on that. And, you talk about writer's block. Sit down to write a blog. And what I like to do is to write several blogs at once. I'll sit down in an evening and I'll write 10 blogs and then schedule them out over the next 20 days, one every second day. I like to try to post a blog every day, but the scheduled ones I will put every second day because I'm always coming across new ideas, new things to post. So I want to have those open days that I can fill in. And, posting blogs becomes easier, I think, if you write several at the same time and schedule them out. I use a little plugin called, what is it called? Remind me, Sabrina. Tell me what it's called. I should have written it down. Editorial calendar. WordPress editorial calendar. And
to schedule your blog
To schedule
posts.
my blog posts, right? Makes it real easy. Absolutely awesome to do it. WordPress has a scheduled feature built right into the editor when you add your new posts. You just can, instead of publishing immediately, you can change the settings and schedule them, but it's just a little awkward to use. And the editorial calendar allows you not only to schedule them as you do them and enter them easily, but it also allows you to move them around later if you want to. So it's a good little tool to add on to what you're using. And then the thing that we really want to discuss here is those actionable ideas, things that you can pull in together and make use of on a daily basis to add new blog posts. And it's amazing what's right in front of us that we really don't think about. And the first thing I want to suggest is that you share what's working for you. That's so obvious. It's one of those, duh. It's right there for us. But you're doing stuff, and there's little things that you're doing that are working for you. You would be amazed how many people out there haven't discovered them yet. They may be simple, they may be basic, they may be everyday kinds of things, but don't be afraid to write a blog about each one of them and share them. And just stop and think, what did you just do this morning? What are you going to do this afternoon? What is working for you? And so write about it and share it. People will be thankful that you did. They'll be appreciative, and they'll follow you to pick up more of those little things. It's that easy.
I want to say real quickly, Steve, Yvonne just posted for us WordPress editorial calendar to schedule posts. Thank you, Yvonne.
Perfect.
And I am Sam Kelly says, we like doing Q&A blog posts.
Yep. Yep.
Stephen, do you put your show on YouTube? Hosting Network 2 wants to know if you put your show on YouTube. That would be Corinder. Corinder wants to know.
Yeah, Corinder. I'm going to be. There used to be a button right on the show when you ended the show. You could post it right to YouTube, and that went away for a while. It's supposed to be coming back, and I'll find at the end of this show whether it is back. But I've discovered that it's actually, I was doing some research for a book, and I discovered that it was in the profile. So I'll be back to doing that, and this show will go on to YouTube later today. Let me just talk about another thing.
Corinder says it's back. You can put his show on YouTube. Sorry.
Okay. Well, at the end of the show, I'll see it. We didn't do a couple of our shows last week, and so I just hadn't seen whether it got back or not. So that's good to know. I appreciate that. And the Q&A concept for posts is good, and that's actually I'm working from a little list here that I sketched out with my ideas on an envelope here. I do some really high-tech stuff, and my number 2 item is offer in-depth answers to tough questions. And a lot of people don't think about that. You've got people asking you questions. If you're authoritative, if you're the go-to person, or you want to be in your field, then there are questions that you could answer. And it's just a matter of thinking about those questions. If you don't know the answer, research them and write a blog post. Post a question, post an answer, and people are going to come to you to see what you're doing. Another one is to develop a list. Any list is good, but a list of useful tools. whatever field you're in. There are online tools, there are applications for smartphones, for your computer. There are a variety of things that you can share. So develop a list of the top 5 tools for a certain purpose, whatever your field is. And within your field, you'll have several different purposes that you can create a list for. Those are powerful things. I'm always drawn to lists of tools. If I can find something I can use to make my work easier, or provide the opportunity for other people to get engaged directly in what I'm doing, then that's a powerful thing. So I want to do that. And I'm going to share one more before we open this up, but provide a multi-part course. A lot of people think that a course has to be a big thing that you
big production.
Big production, exactly. And it's all there and it's all got all the parts to it and so on. Why not break that course up into 10 or 20 parts, whatever's necessary, 30 parts if you want it to run over a month every day, or 52 parts if you want to run once a week over a year. Whatever it is, take that course concept and break it down into individual blog posts, especially if it's a course that you're going to use as a teaser for something else and give it away. Why put it in one place, in one webinar that somebody goes to for an hour or 2 hours? Why have 3 videos in a series that people go to when you can have 15 or 20 blog posts posted every second day for people to come back to? Tie it into a automated email system, an autoresponder, and send it out. And better than sending the course itself out by email, post the course on your blog, set up a category for it. You can even pull that category out of your regular blog list so that it doesn't show up in your blog, and you can take that category and post it on your menu. If you're wanting to put it behind a membership security firewall, you can add S2 member or some other membership plugin, and you can have that category available only to people who have logged in. It can be free or it can be paid. But if you post those as blog posts that appear every day or every second day, and you automatically send out emails to remind people that the posts are there, and you've got a course and you've got blogs. Now, especially if you keep it public in the front end of your website, you've also got powerful SEO capability from it as well. So that's good. John, are you available? I hate to put you on the spot here, but you were talking about repurposing content, and I think that's as good as creating content and is important. Would you share some ideas with us? Great, John. Appreciate it.
Hey, John.
Hey, Steve. Hi, how are you guys? Good,
hey.
Thanks. Yeah, so one of the easiest ways to kind of repurpose the content, other than like kind of what everyone does is just put it on YouTube, is to take the video and convert it into audio that you can use for podcasts. That's a really simple little thing that you can do. Depending on how elaborate you want to get, you can kind of add intros and outros and all that kind of stuff. But basically, it's a really, really easy conversion for PC users. Just basically using Audacity, you just take that video file and it goes from MP4 to MP3. It's actually just simply a downgrade. You're just basically taking off the video portion, and that's really it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Steve, I just have a tech question for a minute, because we use Zoom, for example, for all of our networking meetings, and that already has an MP3 that it downloads automatically, right? So
that's right. Yeah, it's the process is done for you. It's one of the extras that Zoom does. Yeah,
so we can just take that MP3, John, and use it, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically an MP3 file is really easy to work with, especially, like I said, in Audacity. Like, the Mac version is, for what I understand, is GarageBand. But basically, you can, just basically take that MP3 and just cut it up, however, and stuff, same as you would any music file and stuff. So
when you talk about Audacity, is that a place that you have to pay to house the MP3? Is that what you're referring to?
No, it's actually free software for working with sound files. That's really all it is.
Well, don't you have to house that MP3 file somewhere?
When you say house it, What do you
Doesn't
mean?
it have to be uploaded, like either uploaded to your website or?
No, it's you're working directly with the source file, so you're just basically the same as you would for think of it as like instead of Microsoft Word where you're typing the file, doing all the changes and stuff, and you can kind of save different editions. You're doing the same thing with sound. That's
Right,
really
but
the
it has
difference.
to be uploaded somewhere.
You're working with
correct?
the
Well,
actual.
yeah, I think the difference. John's talking about the process when you're creating it, and you simply load that MP4, that video file, into Audacity,
Exactly.
and then save it out as an MP3, and Audacity
Okay.
does all the work for you,
Exactly.
and that's on your computer. But
Yeah.
what Sabrina, I think, is asking is then what do you do with it? And John was referring to
Okay.
loading it up as a podcast, so you could
Right.
load it up to the
Yeah.
podcast store on at Apple. And but you could
Yep.
also upload it to a cloud share, like or to Amazon S3.
SoundCloud actually.
Yeah,
That's
SoundCloud.
exactly-
SoundCloud is actually free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's all kinds of places that you can do with that, and then you can embed it. Now MP3s are fairly small, so they're just the sound tracks,
Yep.
so they're
That's what I
fairly
like
small.
for.
You can actually upload those directly into your media library on WordPress. A lot of people don't realize that the media library isn't just for pictures. The problem you get into if you upload too many sound files, and especially even a few video files because they're much larger, you end up using up all your hosting space, and you slow down your backup process because it's got so much to back up. Sabrina.
Okay, and I just need to comment to that because you just said, everybody doesn't realize that WordPress is not just for their imagery, but I wanted to mention, Steve, that I just got a notification today from my hosting company that my site, networklivevirtually.com, has used 80% of its bandwidth already this month. So I have to go make an adjustment there, but I do want to say that particularly when you're on shared hosting, you need to look out for that because you've got that bandwidth situation going on, right?
Yeah, and go ahead, John.
I was going to say that's why Amazon has really they've taken off with their cloud services because people are realizing just what you're saying, Sabrina, and they're using that as the where to store those kind of files instead of their own site. It's one way to get around that.
As Steve knows, because he helps me with my site, I don't have any videos housed on my site. All my videos are housed on Amazon, and my site has still used 80% of its bandwidth.
Oh wow. That's interesting.
Well, there's two big parts of that. First of all,
okay.
I got to tell you, folks, we've got to do a session. Sabrina's got to prepare some work on it so that we can do a session. Sabrina's knocking the socks off the whole content traffic generation thing. She's had this site that's only been around for a handful of months, and she's already getting huge numbers of really good traffic and converting them. So it's truly awesome. And I'm not even sure what it is that's working, except that Sabrina's working hard and she's doing all the right things. So, that's certainly worth looking at. But the other, so there's traffic there that's affected it. The other thing, Sabrina, is you do have the hosts uploading the Zoom files, and then you're taking those and transferring them from your hosting site to Amazon S3, so there's in and out on your hosting site, which counts both of those as data transfer. That's part of your bandwidth usage.
Well, actually, I just addressed that too, Steve, with my hosting company, because the site that we use to transfer those files back and forth is not Network Live Virtually. It's a separate site with no website on it. So I already had to adjust the bandwidth on that one. Now I'm talking about Network Live Virtually, which is a separate site, and now I have to adjust the bandwidth on it.
Right,
So
but isn't where you're uploading them a subdomain of Network Live
No, you
Virtually?
and I didn't create a subdomain.
I thought it was like FTP dot. It's not a separate domain. It's like FTP dot networklivevirtually.com.
No, it's a separate domain.
What domain is it?
FTP something, whatever we named it. I don't remember.
Yeah, but you didn't register. No, you didn't register a domain for it, though.
No, because it just has a number. I mean, because we didn't register a domain.
Oh, no, it's the IP address. Right, but it's the IP address of Network Live Virtually.
Oh, is
So
it?
it is Network Live Virtually.
Well, it's not a subdomain.
Okay. I'd have to look back at that to see how we set it up, but it is on. It's just a different access, into a folder on Network Live Virtually on the hosting for Network Live Virtually. So it counts to the Network Live Virtually bandwidth.
Well, I know it's on the. Well, we'll have to look at it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, but that's the whole thing with when you're doing shared hosting. You know, they tell you unlimited bandwidth and all these different things, and they lie. You know?
Right.
And so eventually you end up getting to you know, a virtual server or a dedicated server for those kinds of things. But that's growth, and that's good. So it's ideal. John, another area, of course, we take the recording, like the recording of this Blab session that we're doing right now. We can strip out the voice track, the soundtrack, as an MP3. The video recording will be an MP4, and we can do that. But are you doing any further extension? Like, what about transcripts and then taking that whole transcript and doing something with it?
Yeah, that's absolutely another path you can go. It's not one that I'm doing at this point because I don't have that kind of demand. That right now I just do show notes where I do basically highlights of the discussion at certain times and stuff, and that's enough for my audience.
Okay,
right
so
now.
Show notes. So you can take. Let me just extend that for other people. If you had the video and you wanted to embed that in a blog, for example, or either a link to it or the actual video embedded, and then you could just highlight some of the key points. Would you, for example, in that blog post where you're going to highlight some of those, would you perhaps provide times within the video where that section is located? Is that doable?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely another way to go. And I'm still experimenting, but I think right now for me, I'm just basically embedding like the YouTube videos still because I find that provides better link juice right now for me. But I have used the Blab embed, but I just haven't really seen that.
Well, the YouTube is a double-edged sword. You get the
point.
embed of the video on your blog if you're doing that, but it's also on YouTube for people to find, and it's searchable on YouTube. Is YouTube? I think I heard the other day it's the second most active search engine in the world. So I mean that's pretty powerful, and nothing wrong with that. Exactly.
Yeah, and actually that's been a kind of a thing where before you and I have talked about it, where like I used to like Google Hangout, but I think the trade-off for me has been where I've been bringing in newer, building my audience with Blab because of people at different times, will just drop in and just because this topic was something that they found interesting and stuff, and then I've built connections that way. Versus when I've done Google Hangouts in the past, if somebody happened to already been connected with me, they would connect and possibly join, or somebody who was on my list and stuff. But I find that for Blab, you have that added benefit of people like kind of stumbling across and like kind of just very serendipitously coming across your topic and being interested and then just kind of subscribing from
there's
there.
a lot of power in that. Sometimes people really fret over the keywords and the positioning and all the structure and the things that they want to do, and that whole serendipity aspect of people just finding you, and sometimes you don't even know how. And if you've got good stuff, it'll circulate. You get the backlinks, you get people talking about it, a variety of things. Sabrina,
Steve,
you feel like
I am Sam Kelly's. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk over the top, you guys. I am Sam Kelly says for search engines, the top one is Google and YouTube. Then ?
Well, Yahoo has been pretty big, but I understand that Yahoo is now contracted with Google, and basically their results are just a slightly different presentation of what Google is doing. Bing has been one of the top players, seems to me, but they're somewhere around 10 or 15%, I think. They've just never really taken off, and I'm not sure why, because they've done a lot of advertising on television and a variety of things. But certainly in North America, that would be where the top ones would go is Google, Yahoo. Yahoo, of course, is owned by Google. I mean, I'm sorry, I meant to say Google and YouTube is owned by Google. Yeah. And then Yahoo, and then Bing. And I'm not even sure which way Yahoo and Bing would go. They kind of are back and forth the same volume there. And perhaps only because Yahoo has a more recognizable name for other things. And then I don't know where it would go from there. Alta Vista is kind of off the charts these days. Ask is still out there. Jeeves is still out there. I don't know. They drop off pretty fast after that. If you're doing search engine optimization as a novice, if you're a professional, whole different game. But if you're just building your own website, trying to get your own exposure, creating your own content, and you're worried about search engine optimization, optimize for Google. Everybody else will find you okay. So, I mean, Google is last number I saw was like 86 or 88% of the marketplace. Number of searches that are done, text searches, they control 85+% of the market. I mean, you've got to optimize for them first, and everybody else will fall in line.
Yeah, and like we talked about, they own the number 2 guy, right. YouTube and stuff. So that's a good part of
and you should be using right video there. To some degree. If you're blogging, even if it's only, if you're blogging, say, a couple times a week, right? A lot of people are doing, that's a lot for some people. And so if you're doing that, and that's okay, you're going to have trouble competing with the big boys at that. Remember the 4 Ys. But if you, if you do a couple times a week, maybe 3 times a week at a stretch, then at least once a month, make one of those posts a video post. Have it embed a video, link to a video, whatever, and make it a video that you control, such as on YouTube, and link the video from YouTube back to your website so people can find your blog. There's power in that. Sabrina, did you?
I'm kind of wondering if we should add a couple of tabs or under our session replays on Network Live Virtually. I'm wondering if we should put a couple pages on there for like our blabs here and blab with Christy. And I wonder what kind of traffic that would help bring the site.
Well, can't hurt. It certainly can't hurt.
And so I just want to say, I am Sam Kelly says, Jeeves was in my time back in the 4th grade. I'm 26 now. I work for a large nonprofit in Florida. I prioritize Google. Yep. Agreed. I do want to ask John, and I just want to recap quickly because we're talking about actionable ideas you can use to create content with Reverend Stephen B. Henry. You can find him at wizardsplace.com. And myself, your co-host, Sabrina Watson. You can find me at networklivevirtually.com, where you can actually network with the world, guys. So come on over. I want to ask John a couple of questions. John, since we're talking about actionable ideas you can use to create content, what are some of your tips or tricks or secrets that you use for creating content?
Yeah, I think for me, like the 2 main ones that are really easy that like can generate a whole bunch of things is really formats. One is the interview format, where you basically, you're leveraging somebody else's expertise, you're leveraging somebody else's audience, that basically they are talking about whether it's for me personally, it's like they're in some area of like film or music, because I deal with folks who are creatives and everything like that. And that expands, like kind of the topics right there, just simply by the virtue of those 2 aspects. And the other one is panels like this, where basically you're talking about something that like you have of interest that like people really are, ideally actionable how-tos. That's like right way. There's so many things to do and stuff, especially for entrepreneurs, that you're basically, there's an almost endless source of different things you can talk about, of things that they need to do, things of how to do it better, things that ideally will help them to decide what to do. Those are just right away, like kind of, again, things that generate discussion, generate interaction too.
That's a couple of really actionable ideas right there, John. I like that a lot. Thank you.
What you just said about interviews, John, it's funny. It's the synergy that goes on here. Earlier today, I was posting about this blab, and while I was doing so, I made a few posts about my new book that's about blab. And I'll just post a link there on the side to take you to the Wizards Place store. But when I was posting that, a client of mine here in town responded on Facebook and said, hey, Steve, would that blab thing be good for me, for my business?
Yes. And,
and the immediate answer is yes, but he's not technical at all. I've built his website and done some work for him. And, he does Facebook on his cell phone, and that's his access to the internet, and he thinks, that's the internet, Facebook on the cell phone. Now he's a little further than that. He does, he's used desktop computers and so on, but he's not a real active internet guy. He's busy building his business. And so, I started to think, after I'd spoken to him, I said, there's some applications here. You should maybe drop in and watch our Blab today, or go on Blab and just search cooking, because he's in the food business, and see what other people are doing. They said you can start your own cooking show. That'd be interesting, and build a local following of people who follow your cooking show, and then you'll build a global following too. They won't buy your stuff, but it'll be good for your own self-esteem. So I thought about that while I was getting ready to come on here, and it just clicked. The obvious thing is I'm going to have to go and invite him into a Blab and interview him, right? Bring him into a seat and interview him about his business and the food that he does. This guy does smoked meat, and he's got an old family recipe, goes back to his grandmother, pioneer days kind of thing, and great grandmother, and he does smoked pork and pulled pork and smoked brisket and all kinds of neat stuff. And he's got a trailer that he parks out in places around town, and you can go and get lunch there, and it's to die for. So this guy, he would be awesome to be interviewed, and there I was thinking about that, half an hour ago, and here you're talking about doing interviews. Powerful platform with Blab, or Zoom, or Hangouts, whatever is your taste, to be able to put that together. And it's so workable. And then you've got that piece to repurpose any number of ways. I'm thinking about how I can cut that up and use it in different things.
Well, so that's one of the things I was just going to say. You could really easily take your replay right here from Blab, house it on YouTube, embed it into a post, and then do 500 words that would just be a summation of the Blab, and still get all the SEO juice, right?
Yep. And especially when you post that summation, that's just full of keywords that you don't have to think about keywords. Forget that aspect of it. Don't go doing keyword research. Just write a summation of the recording and post it along with the recording, and on a blog post with a link to the video.
Easy content, right?
That's exactly. It's just there. The next thing you can do, and I got a few more on my list here, and it extends perfectly from this, is write a how-to guide. We do a Blab on how-to stuff. Now take out that, go back through the Blab, make notes as you kind of watch it again, and you're going to think of other things. Boy, how many times John, I'll bet you do this. You look at a recording you did, and it's a smack the forehead moment when you say, "Oh, I wish I'd said so-and-so. I should have said this," and you didn't. But if you're writing down a guide out of that, when it reminds you that you should have said something, that goes into the guide. It's not in the guide doesn't have to be verbatim what's in the recording. It can extend it. And so you can write a guide. And of course you can take that further and write a book. Extend the guide, which might be 10, 15, 20 pages max. You can now write a book. 50, 60 pages is a good size. 50 pages is a good size for an ebook these days, and 140 to 200 pages is a good size for a print book. I don't know if I've got anything handy here, but I've got a copy of Launch, which is an excellent ebook that's loaded with stuff. I mean, it is just page by page by page. There's no fluff in there, and I think it's 140 pages long, and it's a printed 6x9 softcover book. It's absolutely ideal. So the opportunities for us to do extensions from that are great. Another area, just to touch on a couple. Can you stay with us, John? Because you're throwing out some really good stuff here. And if there's anybody else that wants to jump into our other seat and share an idea or two, we'd be glad to have you. But I've got a couple more on the list here. You can offer a survey or a quiz. And I'm not talking now in a video, although that could be done in a video context, but on a blog post or a web page or in social media. We don't want to forget social media. You're looking for content to post there. A quiz or a survey is a good way to bring people in. People like to share answers, put things in, and give their perspective on something, and you can do that on any topic, that is anywhere, even remotely connected to what your area of expertise is or what your niche market is. You can share that, and then you're going to get more ideas out of the answers that people give you. Remember, you can do a quiz or a survey where you provide the answers, and people tick off the ones that they agree with, the ones that they support, the ones that they would do, what's most meaningful to them. But even better is a fill in the blanks or an open answer quiz where you ask questions and people give their answers, because those answers lead you to new ideas for additional content.
Yeah, one of the things that's kind of like that we've been starting to do on the Hangout, or excuse me, the Indie Creative Masterminds, is we basically have like a cliffhanger. This is kind of like the old serial TV shows where, tune in next week and stuff. And so what we've started doing is, where we basically give like, coming next week, we're going to be talking about this topic. We just basically lead into that towards the end of our blab and stuff. And that's been really another way to kind of like, one, create something that's kind of like where it's an anticipation for your audience and stuff. And two, it's like kind of just something that connects you and just kind of like the whole thing of where, it just, again, like the old TV shows where there's that curiosity of what, it's going to be discussed.
And that's so powerful. Curiosity is one of the marketing cornerstones that a lot of people overlook. If you can get people curious about what you're going to deliver, and they want to come and see what's next, that's so powerful to draw in that inbound traffic that you're hungry for. So that's ideal.
Yeah, we in fact today we're planning to have a chef who he's launched a site that he's selling pickled vegetables and like kind of some other kind of pantry things and stuff, and so that's like kind of where we're basically going to be talking about how to basically improve his sales and everything, and that's going to be, and we just alluded to it last week and stuff, and so.
Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot, John, and I apologize for this if it's out of place, but I want to go into another point here, and I'm going to use you as an example. So before I do that, I think it's only fair if you would share with us what it is you do. You've alluded to a mastermind and a couple of other things, hangouts and so on. So tell me what it is that you do online. This is just an open plug. Feel free to share links or whatever you want, but share it with us.
Yeah, to be honest, over the last year or so, I really started shifting from where I was working with businesses in the area and stuff and going more global. And really, my shift has been to working more with what I've originally started calling creative entrepreneurs, folks who are doing things in the arts or with their art and stuff like that. And then now what I've realized is it's kind of like this rise of what I'm calling like indie creatives, and these are folks who like they basically are doing a variety of things because of things that like maybe we call them passions and stuff, but also it's about that like they're basically building their audience around like different things that they're doing, where it could be, their writing, it could be their music, it could be film. It just, if anything, they are taking a different media and really adapting it to whatever it is that they're trying to get out as their message, or what it is that they're trying to basically share with the world. And really for me, I'm just not only just, like whole thing about like, I'm not just basically, the customer, but I'm also like, I'm not the owner of the company, but I'm also the customer, because that's really what I've been doing is like kind of, not just basically using any one media, but I've been experimenting with video, experimenting with writing, and also, music actually is another area that like, I'm not a musician, but I've been using it as part of working with videos and like basically using that as a way to kind of build my audience with, the indie creatives.
Awesome. Well, I want to use that because I'm going to kind of flip that around and show an example here.
Sure.
When I was first going to teach at a college, I had to take a course. There was a professor there who was from Corpus Christi, Texas, and the college that I was at was Humber College in Toronto, Ontario, in Canada. And I had to take a course. I had to qualify for this course before I could teach. The college had a program called Excellence in Education, and this professor from Corpus Christi, Texas, was on a shared program, an exchange program, helping the two colleges had twinned, and they were working on this Excellence in Education program, and his commitment to it was to actually teach those who were going to teach the teachers. And so I took this course, and I'm just using this as a little background to lead in on this. As many people will know, I'm a long-winded storyteller. So I took this course, and he was teaching us about how to start the class, how to greet our students that arrived, how to introduce ourselves, how to take attendance and follow on, and all the various things that we would do. And about the third or fourth lesson, man, it just hit me. This guy isn't only teaching us, he is doing what he's teaching us. When he taught us about how to greet the students the first night, that was about the third lesson. And that was exactly the way he greeted us when we first came into the classroom the first night. When he talked about how to take attendance, a couple or 3 days in, he'd been taking attendance that way. Everything he was teaching us, he was the living exemplar. He was doing, live it, teach it. And it struck me, and I thought, wow, what I'm learning from this guy is more important than the technique. It's the heart, the soul of what we're doing. So here's what I'm doing right now. John, I had you share this because, what you do so that we can know, that everybody can realize that you are a professional out there. You work with video and internet and various things, and you build a business doing it. So you're a professional. And one of the things that we can do to create content, an actionable thing we can do, is collect and share tips from successful people. So I'm running a blab here today, and John is a successful entrepreneur building his business, working with these things. And I've just had him in a hot seat here sharing for the last 20 minutes or so. And he's brought in a number of tips and ideas. And Sabrina has questioned him on a couple of things that drew out some more. And I now have, and Sabrina has, and John has a video with material in it that we can pull out and use by collecting tips and ideas from professionals. Don't be afraid to do it, guys. That's an awesome way to bring in material, and we can teach it by showing it because it just happened right here today. So that's ideal. I want to share another one that I think is pretty powerful, and people do this all the time on Facebook and other social media. You want to create a list of motivational quotes. I caution you, however, when you do this, because there's a tendency to grab quotes that look cool, sound cool, seem cool, and especially if they're on a picture that makes it visually cool as well. And I ran into two today that I'll bring up. And one of them I saw again today for the 100th time. I mean, it's probably my number one objection. But these are two quotes that I saw on Facebook on beautiful pictures that set the stage for the quotes. The first one is keep on dreaming, and the second one is just do it. And frankly, I object to both of those quotes. I would not share those quotes in a positive sense the way they were being shared now, because they are so easily misunderstood. If you keep on dreaming, you're going to do nothing. You got to put action to the dreams, right? That's a simple twist to it. And you say, but that's obvious. It isn't obvious. A lot of people dream their life away. Sabrina has some amazing success going on Network Live virtually. It's real easy, isn't it, Sabrina? You just sit back and dream about it and it happens.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Right. I know it's hard to get a hold of Sabrina sometimes when I need to because she's so busy doing things and going all over the place on this. It takes work. You have to put legs to your dreams, folks.
Yes.
And just do it. That's another one that gets shared. Just do it. You know, gurus share that all the time. Just do it. You can't just do it. You've got to learn your craft first. And John shared some awesome things here about how you're experimenting, I think was the word you used, with music and creatives and different things. You're learning as you go, you're developing. So yes, you have to do it. You have to just do it, but you can't just do it. You have
Okay,
to
Steve,
build that
let's do a
experience.
quick.
I need to go, but yeah, thanks for having me on, Steve, Sabrina, and definitely, yeah, I'm definitely with you about like it's about taking action, but taking the best action that you can do as you learn and stuff. So thanks everyone.
All right,
Thank
bye,
you, John. Big time. Thank you.
Steve, I want to recap real quickly for a minute. Let's recap. You got a little list going there of our actionable ideas that we can use to create content.
Yeah, I'll go over them. And I've done 8 of them, which is a good number to finish on. The first one was share what's working for you. Second one was offer in-depth answers to tough questions. Third one was develop a list of useful tools. Then provide a multi-part course. Write a how-to guide, and that can extend into write an ebook. Offer a survey or quiz. Number 7 is collect and share tips from successful people. Our example was John today. Create a list of motivational quotes.
And then John also added 2 more, right?
Yeah.
Interviews.
Yeah, interviews are powerful. Great way to bring people in, develop content, and then repurpose it.
And then what was the second one?
He talked about the first thing that he came in to talk about in general was video, creating videos and then pulling the audio track off it and sharing that as a podcast. Yep. Powerful stuff. Absolutely powerful. So we've covered a huge amount of ground here, folks, and thank you for staying with us. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you, and I hope that I've provided something of value. That's the key to your content. Provide something of value. If you can deliver content that other people want, need, can use, they'll accept that content and work with it. And your best reward is when they take what you've provided and they do something positive with it. I'm absolutely a strong believer in that. My own personal philosophy tells me that the universe will take care of me if I can give enough back to the universe in advance of it taking care of me. At my age, I owe so much to the universe for what's been done for me that I'll never have enough time left to give it all back. But I think that's what we need to do is we need to share, we need to give, we need to help others, and it comes around. An old friend of mine many years ago, she was English, and she used to say that what you lose on the merry-go-round, you'll make up on the roundabout. And it's so true. It's absolutely true.
So, Steve, we're talking about actual ideas you can use to create content for as our topic today. So we've given people 10 ideas for ways to create content for their blog or their website or wherever the case may be. Let me ask you something about creating content that I'm kind of curious about, actually. Is everybody talks about needing to create all this content. So there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people out there creating content. Is there a content flood coming?
There already is. I mentioned in a session several weeks ago about a study, and I don't have it handy here, so I'm just going to kind of paraphrase it. But a fellow back in the early 1900s did a study on the sum total of knowledge, and he came upon what he thought was a fairly good formula. And he took the structure of knowledge, all the accumulated knowledge up until the time of Christ, the year 1, And everything before that, he said, that's one unit of knowledge. Everything that all knowledge that we've accumulated and had and studied and shared, that's one unit of knowledge. And he found that that amount of knowledge, which he could kind of quantify, basically doubled by the I think it was about the 14 or 1500s, and then it basically doubled again by the 1800s, and then it basically doubled again by the late 1800s, and then it doubled again by World War One, and it doubled again by World War Two, and it doubled again before the 50s. And it kept doubling in shorter and shorter times to now the total amount of knowledge that we have in the world is doubling about 18 months or less. So it's huge, the amount of knowledge that we have. You know, my own experience when I first started on the internet and online, and I ran a bulletin board, and in the late 1980s, boy, sounded like my grandfather. And I ran a bulletin board, and my first big drive that I bought for that bulletin board was a 320 megabyte drive, 320 megabytes. Heck, files are bigger. Picture files are bigger than that sometimes now. This video recording today is probably going to be as big as that. And that was the whole drive for the whole bulletin board to handle everything that was going to be shared on that with all kinds of people. We had 7,500 people around the world connecting to our bulletin board system. 320 megabytes. I got my first gigabyte drive just before I shut down my site. When I got the computer that I have here right now, it had a 60 gigabyte drive on it. I added in a 120 gigabyte drive onto it to extend it. I now have a 2 terabyte, a 3 terabyte, and a 5 terabyte drive, external drives plugged into this computer that I'm using right now, and they're almost full. I couldn't possibly begin to use the stuff that I've accumulated. I get stuff sent to me. I get things I see that I want to go back to later. I've got PDF files out the wazoo that I've saved, that I've come across that I just don't have time to read. But I never have a problem writing a blog post, finding content. I just dip into I've got them organized in some folders, and I go in on a certain topic, find a PDF file, open it up, go to page 12, boom, there's an idea for my blog post. So you can't run out of ideas and information today. But yes, you are contributing to the problem, information overload.
I think because we're getting pretty close to shutting off our recording today, I'd just like to toss that thought out there. Maybe that's what we should be talking about on Friday, is how to make your content stand out.
Well, I think that's important. How to manage your content is another topic. So, you know, those are things that are important. You can create content and just put it out there, or you can create good content that people will find useful and come to you. And I guess that gets back to the whole aspect of being the go-to person, being the authority in your niche, so people will come to you to find what they need. And ultimately that converts into business. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm in business. I give away a lot of information and I share a lot, but I'm in business to make money, to pay my bills, to put food on the table. I eat okay, but the process that I use now is inbound marketing, and I do very little. I do no high pressure promotion. I do no formal advertising. I haven't paid for an ad and I can't remember when. And in today's marketplace, if you're thinking of paying for advertising and you don't have a very specific target market and a very specific ad campaign that you're promoting, then you're missing the boat and you're wasting money. There's huge amounts of marketing out there, and that's something we should cover in another session as well, but huge amounts of marketing that are done for free. So
Bye, Yvonne.
We'll share that, and yeah, it's good. And thank you for coming, Yvonne. We'll talk again.
And Steve's just joined us. We are at the 2:01 mark, Steve. So I want to wrap this up, and we'll stop our recording. But
thank you.
Certainly, we can hang out and chat with people. Steve, you'll find Steve and I here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We will not be here on Wednesday because that is my cooking party day. I have a cooking party at my house, and all the girls that are coming for dinner the next day come and bring their bottle of wine and their dishes, and we make a mess in my kitchen and we drink our wine and, you know, all that good rot for Thanksgiving Day. So we won't be here on Wednesday, but we will be here on Friday, and we'll have to wait and see what that topic's going to be. Again, our host is Reverend Stephen B. Henry, PhD. You can find him at wizardsplace.com. He is a 30-year internet or web veteran. I don't know how you want me to say that. He also is a WordPress website builder and developer, one of the most amazing that I've ever had the privilege to work with. And I am your co-host, Sabrina Watson, founder at networklivevirtually.com, where you can come join any of our live virtual networking groups and learn to build relationships with people all over the world. So I just want to say happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And Steve, you want to say goodbye, and we'll catch everybody on Friday.
Absolutely super. And I encourage people to go and check out Network Live Virtually. It's Sabrina's site. I have no financial involvement. I'm not a partner or a manager or anything there. I am a host. I get the services from Sabrina to be able to present Thursday afternoons each week. To share there, because I recognize it as a powerful system, and I think everybody else should go take a look. It may not be for you, that's okay, but you should at least have a look so you know. And thank you for sharing that, Sabrina. It's awesome, and thank you for helping out today. I couldn't do this without you, so I appreciate it. I'm going to turn off the recording, and we'll stay around for a little